Hello, you lovely cubs. It's the Dragon Lord here, back again with another video. Now, today we are doing What If Tanjiro Had Hockey? Bit of a weird one, not gonna lie. It's not your usual what if. Um, and what I mean with that is, One Piece and Demon Slayer don't really fit together in my eyes. But anyway, we're gonna do it. So anyway, he'll have all the hockey types. So Conquerors hockey, armament hockey, and observation hockey, and so on. Um, and yeah, there's not much else to say. Join the Discord if you want to. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, you better listen. I'm bringing heat. You'll be a fan when I start rapping. Way I'll have your fucking head spinning. I'm known as spit vicious. Release bombs, they go tick tick. Boom, you gon' leave that head missing. I'm a phenomenon. Stacking cheese like it's Parmesan. 8 different flows, call me Octomom. I'm moving fast like the Autobahn. And I'm independent, so I'm not your fucking starving like it's Ramadan. Sick, twisted, gifted. Can't copy, printed. Can't hold me down. I shape shift, I'm liquid. I kill this beat. I might get convicted. They know how I move.
Tanjiro Kamado, a boy who was just born, was ushering out a spirit so powerful that his parents felt weak from it. His father was surprised. He saw the boy's eyes glow for a second, and then he felt this overpowering force over him. But he felt like the boy had a great destiny to await him, so he decided that he would take good care of the kid. Growing up, Tanjiro was quite special. He would sometimes just fit out in this burst of energy, and this force would overtake people, usually when he was angry or throwing a fit. This force was strong, but it wouldn't affect adults, but some children would pass out from it, sometimes even his own sister, Nezuko. Now, he would also sometimes have this almost black like thing move around on his body. Now, his parents thought that he was cursed, but in reality, it was Tanjiro activating his armament haki without him even knowing it. Now, Tanjiro had always had this kind of thing where he could feel people's emotions, and he could always feel their intentions as well. So he once, when he was walking with his dad through the town, he felt these bad intentions, and he warned his dad, and it actually made his dad jump into action because they stopped somebody from stealing from someone else. And now his dad, he could have easily caught the guy afterwards, but he kind of saw this and decided to teach Tanjiro. So from a very young age, his father would make sure that Tanjiro inherited the Hinokami Kakura dance and the breathing style. So it made Tanjiro, so Tanjiro had to work on that. Now, he did the dance as a child, and even his sister would dance with him. And when he did that, he felt at peace, and he would always feel that he had this power within him that he could activate. So when he was older, he would sometimes try to, but he couldn't get it to work. And then after the age of 10, when his father passed away and he had to take care of his family more, a lot of stress came on him. And one day he saw that his brother was hurt by an animal, and he got mad. And when he got mad, he yelled. And when he yelled, this force just erupted and knocked out the wild animal. And it also knocked out his brother. And Tanjiro figured out how the power worked just from that time using it, because he had been using it for so many years just uncontrollably. But now he realized that anger worked pretty well to trigger it. So he would go out, and after he did all of his duties, basically selling the charcoal and helping his family out, he would sometimes try to train. Now, he did remember the Hinokami Kagura, and his breathing was always different. He knew that the breathing technique of the Hinokami Kagura, that it could help him do stuff longer, it would increase his stamina, so he used it quite often. So his body was definitely a lot in a better shape than what it would have been if he didn't use that breathing technique. Now, he did figure out after 2 years of trying to train it how to use the armament hockey, and he figured out that it made him stronger and that he could punch a tree and knock the tree down without him feeling anything on his fist almost. And he figured out that he could, you know, use it on his axe, which made trees chopping and getting firewood for the charcoal burning a lot easier, and it made him happy because he felt like he could get his work done faster and then he could train more. So he got his work done faster in his daily routine, and then he trained more and more, and eventually, he could get his daily work done in a snap and just start training for the rest of the day. And he did this one thing once where he saw the tree fall, but it hadn't fallen yet. And he was confused because when he went hunting, sometimes he would go hunting in the mountains for a rabbit or even sometimes a bear, which he would be scared, but he would take them on because he felt like he could, and he could take on a bear if he used his armament hockey. And he had always known the intentions of people, so even animals, so when a bear went for a strike, he could dodge it pretty easily, and thus he wasn't as afraid of fighting animals. And he had this he had always practiced this intention and feeling technique where he could feel somebody's anger or an emotion, and he had that since birth. And now all of a sudden he could see the tree falling, but it hadn't fallen yet. And he thought that he was dreaming, and then he did it again and again and again, and he realized that he could see up to 2 seconds into the future. Well, less than 2 seconds, but he rounded it off to 2 seconds. And he thought that this was quite amazing because it meant that if he ever got in a predicament where he's cornered, he can see what the bear or animal would do. Now, Tanjiro, he doesn't like taking a life, but if it meant that his family could eat a good dinner and that he could make some money from pelts, he would do it in a jiffy. He wouldn't care. But he would always give a prayer or a kind of condolences to the animal. Now, he had trained his armament and his he had trained his armament willingly, but he had always unwillingly or, unconsciously trained his observation hockey to the point where it evolved. So it was quite the experience for him. But he still had no idea what that shout was that he would do. He or he tried to activate it for a year and it didn't work. And then sometimes it would activate and sometimes it wouldn't. It got to the point where on his 13th birthday, he accidentally used it and his entire family passed out. Now, he decided to continue training on his Conqueror's hockey, but he didn't know, he doesn't know that it's called Conqueror's hockey. And he continued training, and for half a year, he still wouldn't know how to activate it. And then it kind of clicked with him, and he figured out how to activate it on his own. But he realized that it's a very draining thing to do for him. Like when he does it, he feels like he has almost no energy left. So for 2 or 3 more months, he would continue doing it, and then eventually it worked out pretty good or pretty well. Now, he had a slight control over the Conqueror's hockey. He would still make everybody around him pass out. He had no control over who it would affect, but it would definitely work pretty well. Now, he would use it on a bear once, and the bear didn't pass out, but the bear was scared and it ran away. So he realized that if an enemy is strong enough, or a monster or a being is strong enough, that it wouldn't affect them as much as it would on people that, for example, have a weaker will. Now, most of his family is really chill with him because he is a loving brother and he's always worked hard for them to have these nice things. But his youngest sibling is afraid of him because of the Conqueror's haki, and it makes Tanjiro sad because he wants to be really connected to all of his siblings. Now, Nezuko is actually really, really close to him. She's always admired her brother, but now he's this cool person who can chop down a tree in one slice and stuff like that. So she really admires him for that and always talks good about him, uh, to his younger siblings. Now, Tanjiro would turn 14 and they would get him a new axe because he had made quite a good bit amount of money from selling pelts and stuff as well, and the charcoal, that they actually wanted to get him a new axe because the axe he was using was still the axe he got from his father. Now, he had also had he inherited the Kami Kagura dance and the breathing technique, and he had also inherited the earrings, but that he got all of his father's possessions as well, like the axe and stuff like that, because they're more of like his family's possessions. Now, his mother had gotten him a new axe, which was made of better steel and had a good handle, and it would actually increase his work speed by a lot. He would get the trees chopped down pretty fast, and he would then run using the Hinokami Kagura breathing technique, which made him faster, but it also made him, stronger over time. Now, he did the Hinokami Kagura dance, but this particular winter, he wanted to get Nezuko a new dress, but he wanted to get a really, really nice dress or a kimono. So he started selling pelts and stuff like that. And then one day he wanted to go sell charcoal. Now, his family said goodbye and told him to get back before, um, you know, the sun sets, and he agreed. So he went down the mountain, sold all the charcoal, but he saw that a lot of people had sad intentions and or not a sad feeling, so he went around and he started helping people. Before he knew it, it was already nighttime, and the old man actually kept him back again. So he slept at the old man's house, paying for his stay, and then going up the mountain. And he started going up the mountain, and he made his way back up way faster, and there was still a lot of fog. He couldn't really see far, but he smelt blood. So he started running, and then he saw his house, but he didn't see his house. He saw the silhouette because there was still so much fog. And then he ran to his house, and then he saw the blood everywhere, and he saw that his sister was bloodied, and the the child under her was bloodied. And then he looked inside of the house, and his entire family was, completely dead. Now, his sister was still breathing, and thus Tanjiro, you know, took her and he started running down the mountain. Now, Nezuko, she ends up attacking him when he's really close at the bottom of the mountain, and they fall, but they don't fall far. And then he gets up and he sees Nezuko right behind him, and she's ready to attack him. So he grabs his axe, which he always carries on him, and he kind of restrains her. Now then, all of a sudden, this he feels this intention, and it's this killing intention, and it's aiming at his sister. So he rolls and he ducks and he helps her, and then he sees this man, holding his sister, and he's confused. He just had her, and then he looks and he's about to stab her, and then, Tanjiro, he uses Conqueror's haki, which confuses the man for a second, and then he rushes at the man, kicks the man, and takes Nezuko back. And he says to not harm his sister, and the man says, "How did you do that?" And then Tanjiro just replies, "It's just something I've been able to do since birth." Now, this man thinks that Tanjiro is a demon for a second, but he doesn't resemble a demon, and he doesn't have the physical strength of a demon. So, the man reveals who he is. He says that he's Gyu Tomioka, and then that Tanjiro right now is protecting a demon. Now, Tanjiro says that he's not protecting a demon and that he's protecting his sister, but then Gyu, grabs Nezuko again, and Tanjiro, he could feel the intentions, but he couldn't move fast enough to stop Gyu. And then Gyu, he tells Tanjiro that if he wants to protect his sister, he will have to take her from him, because Gyu saw that Tanjiro was about to start begging, but he felt like a person like Tanjiro shouldn't beg and just do. So Tanjiro, he attacks Gyu to no avail, and then he uses his thing where he sees into the future for 1.5 seconds, and he sees what Gyu is gonna do, and he parries the blow, and then he activates his armament haki, and he accidentally makes it go to the axe, so his axe turns completely black. Now Gyu sees this and is confused, and he parries Tanjiro's blow. So Tanjiro, he does it again, but this time he breathes, and he does it by complete accident, but he takes a Hinokami Kagura breath, and without realizing it, he did the first form, and this flame would be shown on the axe, and it would nearly hit Gyu, and Gyu just barely dodged with him losing a few hairs. And then, he realizes that Tanjiro took back Nezuko. Now, Gyu gets kind of enraged at this because he didn't realize that Tanjiro is a demon slayer. So he points at Tanjiro and he says, "It's your duty to kill demons, isn't it? You're a demon slayer." And Tanjiro says, "What the hell is a demon slayer?" Which makes Gyu surprised. He didn't realize that, Tanjiro isn't a demon slayer, and he's confused. But Gyu gets mad and he rushes at Tanjiro and he knocks Tanjiro out. But Nezuko sees this and she reacts and she kicks Gyu away. Now Gyu is panicking. He's like she's gonna attack him and eat him, but to his surprise, she actually protects him. And she speaks and she's like, "Don't you hurt my brother." And Gyu is surprised because most demons he's met are these mindless monsters that don't even speak. And then, there's this. And he then makes a bet and he decides to keep her alive. And he tells Tanjiro once he wakes up to go to Mount Sakonji, or Sagiri Mountain, I mean, where he will then meet Orokodaki, and he tells him to go train under Orokodaki and that he should master water breathing because he's already quite capable of being a demon slayer with his current skills. Tanjiro is quite surprised at what Gyu is saying, but then, agrees to it because he could find a cure for his sister. So he sets out, ends up buying a basket where he can hide his sister in from the sunlight, because obviously she can't stay in the sun. And unlike he doesn't she doesn't have a piece of bamboo in her mouth. So she is completely free of having that, for the reason that she can talk, and she definitely got her senses back. Now they're moving and they meet this mother and her son, and the mother tells him to be careful while passing the mountain because there's been wild animal attacks. Natanjiro heeds the warning, but he still continues, and they end up finding this hut, and or not hut, temple, but it's a small temple. And Tanjiro smells blood. They walk up, him and Nezuko, because Nezuko is not in her box since it's nighttime, or not in her basket because it's nighttime. So they walk up to this temple and they see that a demon is eating the monks. And, Nezuko at first sees this and, starts, her mouth starts watering, but then she snaps out of it really fast and she attacks the demon. And the demon is confused and he sees Tanjiro and then attacks Tanjiro instead of Nezuko because he thought that Nezuko might have just missed her attack. So he starts attacking Tanjiro, but really quickly he sees that Nezuko wasn't aiming at um at the at Tanjiro, and that she was actually aiming at him. So they start fighting the demon, and the demon attacks Nezuko, and Tanjiro sees this and he gets mad, so he grabs his axe, he breathes, and he activates his armament haki, and he tries to replicate what he did with Giyu, and he puts the armament on his axe again. And he then attacked the demon, using the first form that he had used before, and he would slice the demon in half. Now he would use his breathing technique that he didn't know was a breathing technique yet, and he attacked the demon again and again and again, and eventually all that remained was, the demon's chest and his head. And the demon then regrew his arms and legs and then started attacking Tanjiro. Then Tanjiro decided that he's had enough and chopped off the demon's head. Now the demon is talking and saying that he can't be killed but by such an attack, but then he realizes that he's slowly dissipating, and it's not fast, it's very slow compared to if he would be cut by a demon slayer. Like, he can still feel feeling in his body, but then he realizes that he's slowly dying. And he asks the boy what's the axe made of. And Tanjiro, he doesn't know. But then the demon, fully dissipates and turns to ash. Now, Urokodaki, he saw this and he walks up to Tanjiro and he says that the axe he's using must have pieces of Nichiren ore in them, or sunstone ore, and the powder. Now Tanjiro is confused by this, but then Urokodaki says that he's the man he's been searching for, and they then bury the people of the temple, and then Urokodaki tells him to follow him, with Nezuko in the basket, of course. And they do, and they follow him to his house. Now, that's where I'm gonna cut off this episode, or part, I guess. Now, if you want this again, then let's get 30 likes. 30 likes, yeah. If you want part 2. And with that out of the way, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video, alright? This was the Dragon Lord, and I'm signing out.
Tell me a story.
There was once a pale man with dark hair who was very lonely.
Why was it lonely?
All things must meet this man, so they shunned him.
Did he chase them all?
He took an axe and split himself in two, right down the middle.
So he would always have a friend.
So he would always have